President.
For my job. Okay. We will go ahead and call to order the November 21st, 2024 Muncie Redevelopment Commission meeting. And we will start with roll call. Mr. Bishop is not here today. Mr. Dale?
Present.
Mr. Miller, I am here. Mr. Perbilla?
Here.
Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
And Mr. Lowe is in the audience today. Thank you. Our agenda is presented to you all. I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve or any discussion if items need added.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Perbilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, we will go ahead with the approval of the previous meeting memoranda. We do have two of those, one from our October meeting and one from our special meeting in November. I would entertain a motion to pass both at the same time or fail both at the same time so we can keep moving.
I would suggest we just briefly talk for a moment before we do that.
Okay.
On the memoranda for the special meeting, we typically will note who may have voted to the contrary, and we didn't do that here in this. And I would move that we accept the special meeting memoranda with the notation that Isaac Miller voted no on the final motion.
Okay.
We typically do that. I mean, every time I vote no on something, it's noted that I vote no. So, and I've gone through other meeting memoranda, we typically always do that, so.
That's fine by me.
So I would move that.
That's your motion that we
Yep.
pass both at the same, both.
No, I would vote for one at a time and do that one first.
Okay.
That's
We
my-
do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Perbilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay. We will go ahead then, also, if I could have a motion regarding the October meeting minutes. If there's any other thoughts on those.
I won't be voting in favor because of several informative discussions that were had. They're not included, but I'll be respectful in my no.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
okay. Mr. Dale?
No.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Perbilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so all those pass, and then, sorry, I'm taking notes here. We'll move on to Mr. Wright with the claims today, please.
Good morning.
Good morning, Craig.
I sent out the claims yesterday morning, actually, before I took the rest of the day off. But just wanted to open it up to see if there's any questions anybody might have.
I've got a few.
Go ahead.
And Craig, you may not be the one to answer these, but the first one I have is on Indiana Title Insurance, earnest money for 216, 220 West Washington, and 220 North Franklin. Had we voted on that before, or why is this on here? I understand, I think, why it's on here, because it's looking to purchase some property, but I'm trying to understand what invoked this.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the first page, Indiana Title Insurance, earnest money of $5,000 for three properties, 216, 220 West Washington,
Washington, Franklin.
and then the other one at 220 North Franklin. And I'm just trying to understand if that was action taken previous before maybe I came back on the board, or,
We had to, and I'm going to cover part of this in my report down the agenda a bit. We have development that will be supported through the READY grant, and we have to get commitments from the developers. Well, we have to secure parking or the development won't work. So the mayor acted to secure the parking, or to at least get a bookmark in there for the parking if we need to, or otherwise the developer will not provide their commitment. If they don't provide their commitment, then we can't secure the grant fund.
sure, so is this done under the auspices of the 10,000 or less spending allowance, or how?
I
I'm
can
just curious.
initiate it, but yeah, I think that's where it would
Okay.
probably land.
Okay, yeah. I'll just go on record my concern with that, because I wasn't in favor of the spending plan, but, and then, Craig, I noticed that we've got $1,930 some odd dollars still for the Muncie YMCA, and since we closed on the property on July 11th, we've paid $7,700 and change on utilities for that property, and I'm just curious, are we going to continue to see these? Because last
Well,
time you said you didn't think so.
Yeah, they're winding down. I mean, you may still have a few late that comes in, but that should clear itself out.
Because these are just monthly. I mean, it's not like we've missed them. It's like they just keep
Right.
coming in batches and
Right. But-
per month. So what is, I mean, I'm going to ask later, but what the EDA says, on the Economic Development Agreement says on this, but are we still paying all of these things? Because we've been paying them beyond the sale. So I have a concern with that.
I'll follow up on it and get back with you.
I noticed that we've got E&B paving for just a bit shy of $190,000. Do we know what that was for?
That's for on Burlington Parkway, or Burlington paving. And that was also in conjunction with the community crossing out of 218 and also out of the 758 bond, MRC bond.
So that was previously approved?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was actually monies that were dedicated for the point, the park out here.
Yes.
And the bids came in lower than expected, so
They're reallocated.
moved it over to pay.
Okay, yeah. The only thing else I noticed was Otis Elevator, are they just late in their billings or what? Because some of these are 2022, and one of them is 2022,
Well,
another's
Otis and
23.
Otis is fun, correct, James? Otis Elevator, it's a long story with them. I know Richard's been in the process of trying to get things worked out with them on that, because their contracts are so convoluted, and
Sure.
we're trying to push through it.
So those were surprises, I would presume,
Yeah.
to you. Okay. Well, thank you, that's all I had.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the claims today or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding the claims.
So moved.
Okay. Motion on the floor and second by Ms. Wagley. Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Burbilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, we will move on to the report from the city from Mr. Howe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Financials. So you see on the current financial, you'll get the balance of the TIFs, the markets on Madison allocation, the White River Lofts, Till Pond, and the parks totaled 2.4 million, almost a little over $2.4 million. Consolidated TIF, 331, other funds of 461,000, almost 462. Total project total projected revenue after debt 427, and brings our consolidated TIF estimated balance at the end of the year at just over $2.1 million.
Jeff, can I just ask, do you have any updates today, and you may not, and that's fine, regarding use of the MALTIF funds? That's just a rather large amount that we've been sitting on for a while. I know we've had some discussions about what we could use that for. If you don't have an update, it's okay, but I just thought I'd see if there's anything you could share yet.
I don't have a specific, but we are going to talk about some of that probably will be used probably in the next year.
Okay. In this
Yeah,
meeting.
but I don't think there's any real specifics at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So then I have an update on the, for the record here on the presentation for the special meeting action. So in 2015, Hillcroft Services entered into an economic development agreement with the city of Muncie, which included 3 main conditions. Well, Hillcroft successfully completed 2, and that was the purchase and renovation of the building, expansion of the building. They were unable to meet the 3rd condition, which was the workforce. It was a creation of 100 new full-time jobs by December 31st of 2004. So despite not being the job creation, Hillcroft did increase their payroll, but did not create new jobs. And suffice it to say, created no new jobs. However, due to the unforeseen circumstances, COVID-19, and some resulting changes in the state's funding criteria and funding of certain programs, the commission agreed to accept Hillcroft's offer to resolve the matter. The offer was sufficient to cover the penalty for the first year of noncompliance and consideration for setting aside the job creation portion of the agreement. And I think the decision was made that if the job creation of the agreement made the agreement moot, then we would set aside the agreement then going forward. So we were able to recover a good portion of the taxpayer investment. We actually probably ended up recovering what we would have gotten in the city's share of the payroll taxes that would have occurred on those jobs anyway. So so the board approved it, as Andrew stated earlier, 4-1, and we have prepared that agreement, which you should have. And I think, correct me if I mistake this, but for the most part, we have an agreement that sets aside the whole EDA, because at that point, the EDA doesn't have anything existing or continuing in it. So we have approved the action. I think I'd leave it to you whether you need to approve authorizing the signature of it. The mayor has agreed to the terms that the city, or that the MRC agreed to. So he will sign that agreement as well, and then we'll present it to them to conclude the matter.
Just to clarify, the purpose of that agreement, and it states in there, is upon signature and then upon payment of the sums set forth in there, the 2015 amended EDA would be considered terminated, because if you go back and read it, it has annual reporting requirements that would then, if they're not met, and we understand that they will not ever be met, would trigger ongoing penalties that would likely put them out of business. So that was the purpose for this agreement.
I have one question.
Good.
And I failed to even think about this, Jeff, when we were together, but was there any thought in, they own the building, they own the expansion of the building, that if they, for some reason, would sell that, that there would be the reparations up into the 2.2 million, that 800,000 gap that exists? Was there ever discussion about that?
There was, in fact, we actually talked about whether we might be able to find a buyer for the building, but they have, the board decided that they really needed to keep the building, because by the time they replaced the building, it would have a financial impact on them that would challenge them to continue.
Okay.
We have identified a possible tenant for part of that building. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but I just don't think long-term, like I said, we had talked to them about a couple of different scenarios, but just don't think they felt like it would work long-term for them.
Well, I stated in the special meeting, and I'll state it now, I really appreciate your taking care of this. Once it got onto your plate, you took care of it, and I just want to thank you for that.
Sure.
Hillcroft's a vital organization in the community,
So, Mr. Freeman, since they've agreed to the terms, do they need to take action to approve the signature of the agreement?
Yeah, all I was looking for was just a quick motion and approval for Mr. Miller to go ahead and execute that agreement. You'd previously agreed to the terms, but they hadn't been reduced to writing, and now they have.
Yep.
So,
I've reviewed it, and I would motion that we approve the agreement as written up.
Second the motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Dale and a second by Mr. Pabilla. Any further discussion? Okay. Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Pravilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. All right, second matter I have is just kind of tempered, exciting news about the Ready 2 applications that we have in the future of the city's development. We have heard, and I maybe have been describing it as maybe a real strong lean forward on some projects that we submitted. The projects that we submitted do require commitments from the developers to do their part. And so we have, those commitments are total to about I think it's around $34 million, call it approximately $30 million. We do have 2 of those signed commitment letters back. We still have 1. Now, the reason we don't have it is because the grant request, we did not get what we asked for, so they're reworking the numbers. But it would be related to development downtown. And therefore, but the other thing they need to be able to do the commitment is to know they have adequate parking for the project that they're doing. And that's where trying to get a bookmark on parking came in, because we need to get the commitment signed. So it became kind of because we have to send the commitment letters back to the Ready folks. And so we're trying to
Chicken and
get
the
them
egg.
comfortable so they can sign the commitment so we can get it to where it needs to be. So we're still waiting for about $10 million commitment letter back. These commitments combined with the Ready 2 funds will probably kind of lays the groundwork for other developments that will happen around these things. And we think those estimate to somewhere around $150 to $175 million. Investment is going to be focused on critical areas such as housing, retail, and commercial developments. And we think will have significant impacts on areas of our community that need it. Look forward to our team. We're optimistic we'll get these commitment letters signed and we'll get this processed. And once we do, we'll then hear a commitment back from Ready. Like I say, these funds have not been committed to us yet till we fulfill these obligations. So we just feel like we're on the cusp of being able to announce those things. I guess we kind of are a little bit, but like I say, we've got 2 out of the 3 commitments back. And like I say, the third one really was dependent upon them having enough parking available to be able to do what they need to do. So we acted to get something in place to do that. So that's what I have on that. Don't have any news in the way of other developments. We think that in fact, I thought it was going to start this week. I don't know if the weather has held it up, but construction, I hear across the street on the Point was supposed to start this week. So hopefully we'll see that happen soon. And then I think Columbus Avenue is going to start here pretty soon as well. And the mayor and I had a couple-hour tour on Tuesday with some developers and looked at some property, 1, 2, 3 properties downtown, one up, which maybe is still downtown as well, some properties in the McKinley area, some projects on the Old West End, and then some projects up just north of campus. So they've got some projects going. They have interest in other projects, so we're hopeful. And then I think I mentioned to you at the last meeting that I hope to have our feasibility study back on the hotel. It is not back yet. So I'll probably try to follow up on that this afternoon. The interviews that had to take place, he calls, it's going to call, I think I gave him like maybe 15 different names and phone numbers to contact. He and I talked about some possible sites late last week, so I thought we'd have it, but it hasn't come in yet. So still more to come on that, but we'll get that updated to you as soon as we can. That's all I have on the report from the city.
Jeff,
Yes.
Good.
can you pull that microphone up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
There we go.
Sorry.
Okay. We can move forward with other business if there's no other discussion points on any of those. Are you ready, Jeff? You wanna-
Bob Swint is here with LWG CPAs, and they've worked on our spending plan. The spending plan is new this year. There's not a lot of direction about this, so we've asked Bob to look at it and help us meet the requirements. He's prepared, I think our last meeting to talk about this was 7:30 this morning, and so he has that for you. And I will hand this to you as he's coming up here.
Oh, he's got
Oh, he's got them, okay. I was gonna say, I don't know where they went.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
So in 2023, the legislature passed a law that required all redevelopment commissions across the state to file a spending plan by December 1st of every year, and this being the first year that is required. They put on the responsibility to DLGF to determine how that spending plan was supposed to be filed with them. And gosh, it must have been in August of this year, they put out a memo that said, here is how you file your plan. You can upload it to Gateway in this portal, and that was it. And so we asked, is there a template? Is there specific information you need? And the response was, no, we were just tasked with telling you how to file it. So there was really no guidance from either the state legislature or from DLGF on what needed to be done. We worked with a local law firm, Barnes and Thornburg, who does a lot of bond counsel work around the state, and they came up with a template that redevelopment commissions can use to hopefully meet the requirements of the spending plan. And that's what you have here is the template, which really outlines probably everything that a redevelopment commission can spend either their tax increment dollars on, or if you have non-TIF related funds, what you can spend those on. There's not a requirement that you look at this by allocation area, so you have multiple allocation areas, but they're all grouped together, at least for this spending plan. And there's no requirement to add detail. So you don't have, well, we think there's no requirement to do it by detail. So it's not project related, it's just grouped. And what you'll see here is we looked at probably three main categories: debt payments, which we can calculate fairly easily, capital projects, pay-as-you-go type projects, and then professional services. So what we tried to do as quickly as we could is look back at prior year's expenditures to kind of get a sense of how much you spend in capital versus professional services, and looking at the TIF that was coming in for next year. And really, this is just an estimate. The plan can be amended. We don't know if that means that if we spend $1 more in capital than we put on here that we have to amend it, or if it's a major change in your spending plan. I think that's the approach we're going to take. It's not a budget, it's just a plan. And so we've grouped these into debt payments, like I said, capital expenditures, and professional services, with a total of just over $10 million of spending for 2025. I suspect that as these are filed with DLGF, they'll either go into some black hole and nobody will ever look at them, or somebody's going to really look at them and start giving us a little bit more guidance as to what we need to do. You probably know that by April 15th of next year, we do have to file a detailed report on the Redevelopment Commission and what you have spent your money on and what dollars have come in. So they do get that information. What happens if you don't file? Nothing. There's a list. They're going to put a list together of all the redevelopment commissions that didn't file. They'll hand it off to the state legislature, and that's it. You don't lose any authority to do anything. You don't lose TIF dollars. Again, though, as this happens this year and we get into 25, there may be some adjustments made to it, or they may do away with it altogether. But that's what the spending plan is. If you approve it, and which is a whole nother thing. It's, some people think it doesn't have to be approved, it just has to be filed, but we've taken the approach, we want to at least get you familiar with it, have you look at it, approve it. If you approve it today, I'll go back and put it on DLGF's website through their portal, and you'll be on the good list for next year.
It's the worst. It's the worst in government, in my opinion, to put something out that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they showed up and said, "How can we help you?" And nobody asked them for help. It's unfortunate, but I appreciate the instrument you developed. Tom Pittman, I think.
Oh, yeah,
was a part of
absolutely.
this, so,
Yeah,
I know he's
came
a
from Tom.
colleague of yours, so to speak. in
And
the-
probably what we'll do during the year, more than we've done in the past, is, at least from my standpoint, is kind of maybe take quarterly looks at where you're spending your money. So if we think you need to update something or amend it, we'll come back and ask you to do that. But otherwise, we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming in, Mr. Swins, and explaining it all to us at least. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Dale's sentiments. It's just another step, another cog in the machine of bureaucracy, you know.
It's onerous because there's no purpose
Yeah,
for it, at
there's
least
no
stated.
reason.
I do have a question, and our legal counsel has stated this, and I believe Ben's right. Council this needs simply to be presented to DLGF and our own city council by December 1st.
Correct.
It's not that they're going to take, our council doesn't take any action on this, it's just they receive the document.
That's the approach we're taking.
Okay.
Just make sure it goes to the council and you've met the requirement.
Okay, all right.
Director, how are you wanting us to take action to approve this
I'd like
template
to
today?
approve it, and then we'll get to the city council
Okay.
and the mayor.
All right. I would entertain a motion to that effect if anybody has one.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay. Motion by Mr. Probilla, second by Ms. Swagley. Mr. Dale.
Yes,
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Probilla.
Yes.
Ms. Swagley.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Swens? You said this needed to be presented by December 1st to the city council, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and just emailing them?
that's what other
In
folks
their
are
box
doing.
or- Okay, because
Yep.
they don't have a meeting before then, so,
Nope.
okay. So just,
yeah, it's not
Okay.
presented, it's submitted, correct?
Right.
Okay, yes.
It's not presented.
it's submitted,
Good
okay.
question.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Mr. Howe, you've got an easement approval for us to take action on today.
Yeah, I sent that to you to look at. And just the real nuts and bolts about this is the gas companies want to put gas line in out on 12th Street. It's out there about where that Michael's Place was going to be built. It's pretty, well, it's not a straightforward document, 16 pages long, but I mean, the action's pretty straightforward. They need to put a pipeline in there. So, and like I say, I think it says they'll use .073 acres for the easement, and then there's compensation to us for that.
And this is the MRC property that exists on 8th Street,
Yeah.
is where they need to have access.
3,005.
Yep. 2005.
3005 West 8th Street, which is a large empty lot at the moment.
Did I read in there somewhere also that's their responsibility to repair like the above ground and make it
Yep.
look presentable again? Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And if they ever vacate the space, they have to do the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So we just need approval for that, so we can
Okay.
execute that, and if we approve it, it's up to you, but you might either want to authorize me to sign it on behalf of the MRC, or
Sure.
you'll need to sign it, whichever you want.
That's fine. I think I would prefer that you just sign it.
It needs to be you.
Oh, it has to be.
This is a conveyance of land. It needs to be the president.
That's
Oh, it does? Okay.
that's fine. Any further discussion, or I can entertain a motion if anybody
I'd
has
make a motion that we grant this easement and that we provide the proper signatories to affix their signature to make it whole.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Motion by Mr. Dale, second by Mr. Probilla. Mr. Dale.
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Probilla.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Wonderful. And then you have a property purchase application, Jeff?
I do not. We got an application, I received an application at the end of last week, but have not had an opportunity to look to see if it meets the criterias that we have to live by, so we will look at it. We're trying to get, and it's not the new application that we have out there, so I'm trying to figure out where the technology glitch is that we're not getting that new application to people, so, which gives us a lot of, not a lot of additional information, but some additional information, but more importantly, lets folks know that are making the offer what their requirements are as far as current taxes and those kind of things. So it's got some disclosures on it that I think we want folks to have. So,
Yeah.
So we'll have that probably next month.
Okay.
I made the motion
Motion
and
and
Steve
second by
seconded.
Bill. Okay, we'll move on to the Muncie Land Bank update from Mr. Howard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nate Howard from the Muncie Land Bank. As far as acquisition and disposition, excuse me, we went to the tax sale on Tuesday and went in with 4 pass-through agreements trying to acquire property for some nonprofits. We got 2 of those. So we'll initiate that legal process, and those deeds, it takes we've learned about a year or so with going through the redemption process, petitioning the court for the deeds, and then going through quiet title action. But again, we do that because that's a service we can provide to the nonprofits so they don't have to tie up money and do all that legal work. We handle that, and it's part of their strategic plan. So anyways, tax sale was interesting. We're really interested in getting the data back as far as how many properties sold, how many didn't sell, to whom. It was interesting. There were a lot of big numbers. There were also a lot of properties that didn't sell, but we'll hopefully have some analysis that we can share at the next MRC meeting and share with the public. The properties that we acquired back in April from the county that were awarded to us, 8 of those, there was a signed order for issuance of tax deed by a judge, and we're going to do those in portions because of the size. But so we're real close to taking full legal ownership of those properties. Yeah, and just, again, I kind of repeat over and over again, just make sure everybody's kind of aware of what we do. Instead of focusing so much on acquiring properties at the tax sale, we focus on post-tax sale. So we've been preparing in-house, doing our own analysis of the inventory, and then we triangulate that with all our different partners around the city. And so we're going to be real busy, hopefully in the next couple months, compiling all that, and then that will be a part of a new ask to the Delaware County Commissioners for properties. And it's, I think, just realizing how important it is that we develop that pipeline, because it takes a year to 15 months to get properties. So if we're not ahead of it, we're going to have periods of time where we don't have property. And so anyways, that's we're going to be working hard on that. Excuse me. We had our first Friday meeting. A gentleman named Kazem Namazi has developed a platform called PlaceNet, which is really, as I understood it, just something in addition to Beacon and Zillow offering more information about property in Muncie, a tool for homeowners, home buyers, renters, just more and more information. Kind of the assumption is that more information is better. It was interesting. This coming, first Friday in December, we're going to have 2 studios from Ball State, from the College of Architecture and Planning. The urban planning studio that I'm co-teaching is going to be presenting their findings, and then also the 4th-year architecture students are presenting their findings. All their work has been focused on filling gaps of information related to our project in the Old West End that you've heard me talk a lot about. So you're all cordially invited to that. That's December 6th, 12:30 to 2 p.m. You may have caught wind that Dr. John West was awarded the Fisher Governance Award, a really prestigious award here locally for all his work in leading the development of the land bank. Along with that, we got a $10,000 grant from Ball Brothers Foundation. Just really thankful for obviously all the work that John's done, but the support from the Ball Brothers Foundation and that platform to be able to share more about what the land bank is trying to do. And it's obviously, as Jeff was saying, ready funding is still out there, but we have tempered enthusiasm that that the project, the part that we're involved with in the Old West End, will be recipient of some of that, and we can make our contribution to the Central City Housing Project. We presented at the Regional Urban Design Symposium in Indianapolis a week ago. That was with representatives from the College of Architecture and Planning and Tend Indiana, the Land Bank, and our presentation was focused on how land banking combined with community development finance and the academic community has the ability to unlock financing, leverage it for funding, which is a model that we're learning from in Tend Indiana. Lastly, I've mentioned before too that we kind of have a three-pronged kind of strategy for developing that pipeline with properties that don't go sold in the tax sale, which again, there were a lot of properties that were sold. A lot of them went to the tax sale for the first time. That's great. It's great to see people snatching those properties up and seeing opportunity for rehabilitation. But what we're concerned with is the properties that don't sell, because the tendency is that they don't sell once and then they languish for years and years and years. And that's where we hope the land bank can be a part of an integral solution to dealing with those properties. But we want to have a conversation with the commissioners about systematizing that process of receiving properties year after year that languish. We also are putting on the table the potential for the land bank becoming something that operates countywide. And the other part of that is making sure that we remedy the concern about how us acquiring property could, we don't want that to be a hindrance to the city, you all being able to do deals with property that we hold. So we'd love to have some type of agreement that specifies the city's priority of receiving property that we have when it's tied to deals like that. So something we'll hopefully be addressing here in the near future. That's all I got. Questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Nate. Couple things.
Yeah.
One, congrats again to Dr. West
Yeah.
for his hard work.
Yeah.
I was in one of his first, either his first or one of his first land banking classes at Ball State. And so I know, coming from when it was just, this was like conceptual phase in like a college class to like it being what it is today. I know he's worked very hard and helped you all a lot. So congrats to him. You mentioned the tax sale, and there was, I noticed, I believe I'm correct, a rather large kind of bidding war going on in that tax sale, I noticed.
Yes.
Lots of money, lots of property,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious if the land bank has the means or does approach these types of bigger development groups that come in and buy lots of property and want to use it for whatever they want to use it for.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you had any relationship with them, if you had thought about forming one with them. Might be useful to them, might not, I don't know. But I just noticed that was a rather large.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
There
And
was a
so
lot going on.
I was curious if the land bank had an approach to that or any thought to that.
You know, I mean, we're trying to, again, be kind of a repository of information data around the tax sale. Analysis of how it's being, its success and also the challenges. Trying to understand who are the folks that are buying up property and what they're doing with it, how it's helping or hurting. We're going to develop a report about who's the new owners of these properties. Right. I talked to some of the county people after the tax and said, who are those folks? And they're like, They gave me some names, but we'll figure it out. I think that's a good idea for us to approach those folks and offer again, can we help with anything?
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I don't know if that's, it was interesting. I don't know if it's encouraging or not, but it did seem like there was a lot of people bidding on properties that hadn't been in past tax sales.
Yeah, I found that interesting, so
Yep.
figured to see what your guys' perspective was on that.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, on that, were they more local or regional, or were they out of state, or what, can you,
I think they were regional.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
okay,
There are
Yep.
some players in central Indiana, that's what they do, they just go out and buy
Yeah.
tax lien certificates and.
Oh, yeah.
They do it, for the return and,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking for, they're not normally wanting to develop.
Hmm.
They're
Right.
Looking for the redemptions.
Yeah.
and then,
same as the out of state, yeah.
Ms. Waggle, you had something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm sure you get the same calls that I do. There is a lot of interest in development here in Muncie now, whether that's a group of lots or
Yeah.
individual lots. And so I send them to you if we don't have the properties that,
Yeah.
that they're interested in. And so I could see that the tax sale would be up, there'd be more interest, just because it's daily that
Yeah.
people are looking to buy properties here
Yeah.
in Muncie.
Yeah, Muncie's on the map, and it could be because there's a lot of property maybe is cheap, but there also seems to be a feeling that maybe things are turning and people are seeing that. So, but
Yeah.
that's we're hopeful that that's the case. Yeah.
Anything else from Mr. Howard before we close out today? No? Okay. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Yep.
Thank you.
We will move into public comment. If anybody signed up, get 2 minutes each for public comment. Anybody today? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioners, do you have any comments today you'd like to share?
I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Wagley, please. Fire away.
Just wanted to remind everyone, 2 years ago, was it, that we purchased the Christmas decorations for downtown, the lights and all that. So Light Up Downtown is December 5th, starts at 5 p.m. I think it goes till 8. Lots of activities downtown, then they'll light the big tree and all the other trees that we paid for the lights.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that we do here at MRC. So.
Yeah. I have one thing.
Good.
And I've brought it up several times, but is there any way that the community can receive an update, especially people that are vested in the south side of town, about the disposition of Southway Plaza? Because it's just been a long time, and you hear it from time to time, and it just seems like after so much fanfare about that and so many hopes going up about it, it would be nice to be able to state factually what's going on with Southway Plaza. It seems like the public deserves that, given how fast we ran towards that. And if it's not going to happen, or if it's in limbo, I just think it's fair for people to know.
I don't know what the company's doing at this point. What our position has been is we're not putting our money in until they do. And so we have it allocated there because at some point there was an agreement that we would do that, but we've taken a pretty firm stance that, we're not investing any money till they do. But why they haven't yet, I'm not privy to.
Yeah.
But we haven't had any place else to really allocate it to, so it's just stayed in that bucket, but it's not being spent, it's not being used, and it will not be invested until they invest what they said they would. And I think it's, industry dynamics that have affected what they're doing, but I don't know specifically what that is and what that means for them.
Yeah.
And we've taken the stance as a commission that if the right opportunity came about to where we could use those funds towards something else that is productive and is producing in our community, I think that would be a favorable thing that we obviously would have to take action on it as a commission, so I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know in my opinion,
Well,
we
we didn't want to do the project, but
Right.
we were gonna capture some of that money and reallocate it before. And
Yeah.
that's what we'll do if another project comes up that we are comfortable with, we'll reallocate that money.
sure, Absolutely.
It has been our position, and we've said this to everybody, big and small, their money has to go in first.
yeah.
So-
Well, and this was a private sale to a private buyer.
Correct.
We only came in and said that we would assist with the gateway parking appearance there
That's
if they committed. So as far as MRC being part of the project, we don't until they have,
Yeah, that's been a little bit of a
Done what they
misconception. It's
said.
not an MRC
No,
project.
it's not an
We just
MRC
said we would
project.
put investment in. If they did what they were gonna do, we would put an investment in because of the gateway into the community. But they haven't, and we haven't, and I don't think we think it makes sense. I mean, that fact doesn't change. It's still a gateway into the community, but we don't wanna put the money into it until they've done what they're gonna do. But
Right.
like I say, most of the details about the sale and all those things, we're not privy to. We don't have. And I don't, and I haven't, had any communication with them. Yeah, so it's available money, if there's a more productive place to allocate it.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I'd suggest we pursue that then, first of the year, figure out a better way to do it, because it doesn't appear that it's going anywhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Rubilla, anything from you? Nope. Okay. All right. With nothing else, I believe we will go ahead and stand adjourned until our next meeting on December 19th, 2024. Thank you so much.
thank you, sign, please.
Oh, yeah.
Have a sign that says.